The Bourgogne wine region is located in the northeast quarter of France. Vines were first planted there in the 1st century AD. But to understand the history of wine growing here, you have to look much further back, to around 180 million years ago, when this area was covered by the sea. In that period, known as the Jurassic, the region's subsoil was formed, resulting in a mixture of limestone, marl, and clay. Its relief was created by the collapse of the so-called Bresse Trench, caused by pressure from the Alps to the east. The subsequent effects of erosion shaped the landscape we see today. One of the most outstanding features is the Roche de Solutré. Along with its neighbor, the Roche de Vergisson, they reach a height of almost 500 meters and stand as twin sentinels over a majestic landscape. At their feet stretch the vineyards of Puy-Fuissé, one of the most southerly of Bourgogne appellations and the most illustrious of the Macon region. The Mâconnais wine region is 35 kilometers long, covering the slopes of parallel valleys oriented north-south. It is bounded by 2 rivers, the Garonne to the west and the Saône to the east. The influence of the nearby Cluny Abbey saw the development of wine production since the Middle Ages. Moving north, we discover a wine region with dual faces. Gradually, the grandiose landscape gives way to hillsides with wooded tops. The vines here are grown on slopes, wherever there is the right combination of soil and exposure to sunlight. Further north still, southwest of Tournu, the hills of the Mâconnais feature a series of wooded hilltops and small valleys ideal for vine cultivation. Chardonnay is widespread in the Mâconnais, alongside Gamay. The former takes its name from the village of Chardonnay, about 30 kilometers north of the city of Macon. Continuing our journey north, we discover the Côte Chalonnaise. Taking its name from the nearby city of Chalon-sur-Saône, the wine-growing region is 38 kilometers long, with a width of 5 to 7 kilometers between the valleys of the Dône to the east and the Garonne to the west. Here, vines do not monopolize the landscape, but instead are interspersed with fields and woodland, giving this region its own innate charm. The Côte Chalonnaise is like the joint on the dogleg between the north and south of the Bourgogne wine region. Here, sedimentary limestone layers have fractured away from their granite base, forming numerous hills, with a wide range in the orientation of slopes. Wine growers naturally seek the best from this landscape, planting their vines on the best exposed hillsides to benefit from optimal sunlight, whilst being sheltered from the west and north winds. Since the Middle Ages, these wines have built a solid reputation. The monks of Cluny did much to boost the renown of the wines of Montagny in the south, while the Dukes of Bourgogne would spread the reputation of wines from the northern end of the Côte Chalonnaise. Here, red wines make up a slight majority, but Montagny is exclusively white, produced from Chardonnay. Givry and Mercurey produce mainly reds from Pinot Noir, while Rouy produces wines from both these varietals. Bourgogne is a notable exception, making the only village appellation from the Aligoté grape. Now our route takes us to the northwest. Crossing the Canal du Centre, we discover the vineyards of the Couchois region, the magnificent setting for the Chateau of Mary of Bourgogne. These vineyards, at an elevation between 200 and 300 meters above sea level, only produce red wines. We now leave these gentle slopes behind to explore the Côte de Beaune and the Côte de Nuits, ending at the southern edge of Dijon, which in part explains their unrivaled notoriety. Separated from the Côte Chalonnaise by the valley of the Dône, the Côte de Beaune comes as a prolongation of the Couchois. In the south, it starts with the appellations of Marange and Santenay, both of which are mainly planted with Pinot Noir. We then come to the area of the Great Whites, from Chassagne-Montrachet to the south to Meursault in the north, where Chardonnay produces wines of great depth with incomparable aromatic qualities. The soil here is more limestone, giving rise to wines of great precision and elegance that are appreciated the world over. Continuing towards Beaune, Pinot Noir once again begins to dominate, covering the slopes of transversal valleys formed by the rivers. The valley of the Vendaine in Pommard, south of Beaune, and the Rhône Valley in Savigny-les-Beaunes to the north. The historic capital of the Bourgogne wine trade, Beaune is home to the Hôtel Dieu, an architectural masterpiece from the 15th century. Also known as the Hospices de Beaune, this institution has its own estate, whose wines are sold at auction on the third Sunday in November. The Côte de Beaune culminates with the sublime hill of Courton. Capped with forest, it stands out from the line of the escarpment like a peninsula. Apart from its northern side, its slopes are covered with vines. This is where the wines of Courton Charlemagne and the Courton Grand Cru grow. To the west, the Côte de Beaune is hemmed by a wine region at a higher elevation, the Haute Côte de Beaune, where vines alternate with prairies and forest, flourishing on the land that is most favorable. The Côte de Beaune gives way seamlessly to the Côte de Nuits. The first thing that one notices is how the strip of vineyards narrows. From the previous east-southeast orientation, the slopes here face fully east. The soil and subsoil also exhibit some subtle differences due to the greater age of the sedimentary layers. Dominating the plain of the Saône, this ribbon of vineyards unfolds over some 20 kilometers, intersected by closed, dry valleys of varying depths. At the mouths of these welcoming valleys, we find villages with evocative names such as Vougeot, Chambon-Musigny, Moret-Saint-Denis, Gevry-Chambertin. Bourgogne wines have long graced the tables of European royalty, and they owe this largely to the monks who standardized work in the vines and improved winemaking techniques. The Clos de Vougeot, built by the Abbé of Citeaux, is the perfect illustration of this mastery, whose influence extends to this day. The dukes and parliamentarians of Bourgogne and Dijon also played their part. As a perfect symbol of refinement and power, wine became a key diplomatic tool. The Côte de Nuits is a paradise for Pinot Noir and produces many of the most emblematic red wines, such as Romanée-Conti, Richebourg, Échezeaux. Let's gain some altitude and visit the neighboring regions of the Haute Côte de Nuits. This region butts up to the west of the Côte de Nuits and spreads over the flanks of the small valleys which cut through the plateau. It has slightly cooler climatic conditions and produces easy drinking aromatic wines that can be enjoyed young. We now leave behind the wine-growing region on the slopes overlooking the plain of the Saône to head northwest to the edge of the Paris Basin. This plateau is made up of multiple layers of limestone and marl, dating from the Upper Jurassic and the Cretaceous. In other words, the sedimentary rock here is some 20 million years younger than that on the Côte de Nuits. The rivers Yonne, Serein, and Armançon have carved out wide valleys on slopes where the vines now grow. To make up for the cooler conditions due to its more northerly location and a more maritime influence, the vineyards here are sited on only the most favorable locations. To the south, overlooking the valley of the Cure, a small tributary of the Yonne, the vineyards of Vézelay envelop the slopes of the Eternal Hill. Following the course of the Yonne, we soon come across the Auxerrois wine region. On the right bank of the river, we find Irancy, surrounded by Pinot Noir and César vines. Saint-Brie-le-Vineux, reputed for its Sauvignon Blanc, and further northwest, the village of Chitry. On the left bank is the village with the evocative name of Coulanges-le-Vineuse. A few kilometers north of Auxerre, in the most northerly part of the Bourgogne wine region, is the little town of Joigny. The vines here grow on both sides of the Yonne River, but the majority are on the slopes of the right bank, sheltered from the northwest winds. Quality wines are made here from Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and Chardonnay. Farther east is the parallel valley of the Serein. Here we are in the heart of a wine region with worldwide renown, Chablis. Vines first appeared here at the dawn of the Christian era, but it was above all thanks to the efforts of the monks of Pontigny, the second daughter house of Citeaux Abbey, that winemaking developed in Chablis and its environs. The proximity to Auxerrois with its river port also played an important role in the distribution of these wines, which soon became popular on Parisian tables. The vineyards cover the many small valleys which cut deep into the plateau. They tend to be planted on well-sheltered areas with good exposure to the morning or midday sun. The slopes on the right bank of the Serein are home to the most famous climats. Their orientation varies from east to west, with many of the vineyards facing south. The left bank features many climats with widely varying locations. The most reputed of the Chablis Premier Cru appellations enjoy a mainly east-facing aspect. Continuing on our way east, we come to the Tonnerrois, a small wine region that spreads either side of the river Almonson, which flows through the town of Tonnerre. On the right bank, the village of Épineuil is home to the south-facing slopes that produce the Bourgogne-Épineuil appellation from the Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris varietals. The left bank is the domain of Chardonnay with the Bourgogne-Tonnerre appellation. The overview of the delightful Bourgogne wine region would not be complete without a visit to the vineyards that border Champagne, the Châtillonnais. With very limestone soils, this area produces some superb sparkling wines of the appellation Crémant de Bourgogne. Our voyage is coming to an end. As we have seen, the Bourgogne wine region is one of impressive beauty, its breathtaking landscapes infused with a rich winemaking history. This overview of the complex patchwork of wine-producing plots, known locally as climat, has given us an insight into the secret of the region's great wines. Thanks to ancestral know-how, incomparable mastery of techniques, and a deep attachment to the land, Bourgogne winemakers produce wines of exceptional quality and diversity, which has been acknowledged by the inclusion of the Climat of Bourgogne on UNESCO's World Heritage List.